Hello and welcome to another episode of Now Showing, where I take a look at new movies that are playing in theaters and on streaming. Today, I'm looking at a quartet of new films that are available in theaters and on Netflix. First up is The American Society of Magical Negroes. This one is uh, kind of an interesting film. Sometimes a film surprises you, and that was the case here with a comedy that has poignance and some good performances. The film comes from writer-director Kobe Libby, starts with a concept and builds a story from there. We begin with the definition of a magical Negro, which ties into the way that Negroes are used in the story, in the stories and in films in the past. It spins this idea into it being something real, where a young artist played by Justice Smith is being recruited to the program. He has a mentor played by David Allen Greer and gets an assignment with a client, Drew Tarver, who is in something of a crisis when they both fall for the same woman played by Leanne Bogan. It creates tension and threatens to derail his mission. You know what? This film has a lot of humor and some great chemistry between Smith and Bogan. And it really builds that tension. Tarver is amusing. I love David Allen Greer in a supporting role. This is also a film that wants to make observations on society, our world, and the ways that it needs to change. That leads to a great third act speech from Smith, and that was a bit of an emotional high point for the film for me. In terms of story and style, it also reminds me a little bit of The Adjustment Bureau. I like the way it all came together. I really appreciated Justice Smith in the lead role. This was an entertaining and engaging film. I thought it was worth checking out. It is now playing in theaters. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so you can check that one out. Next up, another theatrical film, and that is Arthur the King. Sometimes you have to dig deep to achieve your dreams, but they're nothing without your friends and family. And sometimes that extends to our four-legged family. Michael, played by Mark Wahlberg, was a great racer that could really take the pain, but he had never won. In the 2018 Adventure Racing World Championship, it was his last chance. Along with his team, played by Simu Liu, Nathalie Emmanuel, and Ali Suleiman, and with the support of his wife, Juliet Rylance, he got the sponsors he needed to make one last run. As they gutted it out on the journey, they came across a stray dog that became like a member of the team. And when it was a choice between Arthur, his new friend, and a lifelong dream, Michael didn't hesitate. This is just kind of a beautiful story. And I love the way that this is put together in the hands of director Simon Cullen Jones. It comes to life in a fun way. Mark Wahlberg is really solid in the lead role. I liked all those who were in supporting positions, his team. I really enjoyed some of the moments with Rylance, who's his wife and a former teammate. But the best animal stories draw you in, set the stakes, and offer beautiful emotional payoff. This film certainly lives up to that billing. I was entertained. I was inspired. This is based on a true story. It's a fun movie that's well worth checking out. It has some cool action sequences and visuals that made it a good big screen film as well. It is now playing in theaters, as I mentioned. I'm giving that one 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. Off to a good start. Let's see if we can keep it rolling. Next up is the Netflix film Irish Witch, which is perfectly timed for the holiday. Netflix has had a lot of these romance films that feel like something out of the Hallmark playbook. In fact, this is the second of those to feature Lindsay Lohan in the lead role. This one is set in Ireland. It's a romance released just in time for St. Patrick's Day. In it, a book editor named Maddie Kelly, played by Lindsay Lohan, is in love with her author, Paul Kennedy, Alexander Vlas. He's engaged to her friend, though, and soon she arrives in Ireland for their wedding. There, she meets a photographer played by Ed Spielers named James. They kind of trade barbs, but when Maddie comes across an Irish wishing chair, she has a chance to ask for what she always wanted, but is it really the desire of her heart? I think you know where this is going early in this film, and you know how these kind of magical devices in these type of films work, but it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Lohan and Spielers have some decent chemistry. There are some beautiful sequences in the film owing to the locations. It looks like it was shot in Ireland, some beautiful set pieces, but the script is a little stiff, and overall it's just okay. For fans of this style of story, it'll be worth checking out. It's nothing particularly special or memorable. It definitely feels like a Hallmark-ish movie on Netflix. It is now streaming on Netflix. I gave it 2 stars out of 5. If you're looking for kind of a simple date movie, you could do worse. Last up today is another theatrical film, and that is the film Love Lies Bleeding. This film first debuted at the Sundance Film Festival, now getting a wide release in it. It's 1989, and Lou, played by Kristen Stewart, is kind of a lonely gym manager. She's drawn to a bodybuilder, Jackie, played by Katie O'Brien, who's in training for a competition in Las Vegas. Sparks fly, and soon they're on a wild ride together. But Lou's family, including her sketchy brother-in-law, played by Dave Franco, and her criminal father, played by Ed Harris, stand in the way of the two having a peaceful and happy future. This new film comes from co-writer and director Rose Glass. It has a strong look. It also has some good performances. Harris is pretty menacing as Lou's estranged father, while Franco plays a creep really well here. From his first scene to the last, he really kind of inhabits that role well, and that really worked. But this comes down to Lou and Jackie, and the actresses in those roles do a really nice job. O'Brien has some tough character beats, which she accomplishes well, and Stewart sort of carries the film as kind of the core here. That being said, the story doesn't quite work for me. There are things that I didn't, quite take to. I wasn't ever sure where it was going, some questions that don't get answered. There's also some odd moments. And then during the third act climax, they make a couple of choices that for me just didn't land. It's an interesting swing with some good performances, but it doesn't come together as well as it could have for me. Love Lies Bleeding is now playing in theaters. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. There are some decent moments, but it wasn't my favorite. Well, that'll do it for me on this edition. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Nighthawk7734 if you want to keep up with everything that I am watching. Until next time, you have a great day.